It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a weekly podcast where we talk about everything that's great. Like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh, yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, superheroes, and fall. So let's talk it all out.
That's right. My name is Chris.
My name is Mike.
And this week, X-Men 97 could last 5 total seasons.
Forever. It's animated, right? So at some point in time, they'll just turn their voices into like robotic AIs, and we'll just live. We'll live in the late 90s for the rest of our lives.
I actually was gonna look. I'm gonna look up. We'll talk about it later. I don't know how. I think the original season maybe went on for 5 seasons as well. So I was like, that's probably fair enough. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. An old Lanterns rumor gained some traction. Lanterns, a show from DC. Which it's hard to explain to someone what that show is, I guess. It's just called Lanterns. But we'll talk about all them goodies and some of the stuff that was taken down around this rumor. It's spooky movie season, Mike, because he mentioned it's fall, and it's called fall because leaf fall down. In case anyone didn't know that here in America, and more.
Well, I learned from Weekend Update on SNL last night that apparently on the East Coast, the leaves are going to be like a little less vibrant this year and not stick around as long. So I guess get it while the getting's good, folks. And if you live in another part of the world, you're probably like, what are they talking about? But also we have the privilege of being in the country where like all of the movies and TV shows like used to be made. So I feel like a lot more people around the world have an idea of what the American life is like, which is a little unfair because I have absolutely no idea what like different seasons, how they're enjoyed in any other parts of the world. And so I just live in my own little bubble here.
It's funny because another show I listen to, they're out of Australia, so they have hot Christmas because like, you know, it's inverse on the other side of the equator. And so every time I'm like, man, it's really warm here. And they're like, well, it's kind of cold in the studio today. I'm like, man, that'd be wild to just be like, yeah, July's our cold season and December's our hot season. Like, to me, that blows my mind a little bit. But yeah, like it's here. I was telling Mike we had some really bad wind and rain come through last night. So not all the leaves, but the leaves are starting to turn. They're starting to fall down. There's debris all over the road. It's wet and damp. It is that chef's kiss fall outside. That nice weather where it's not too hot. It's not too cold. All you need is a light jacket. And it's I wouldn't say it's got me in the spooky movie season, but I've watched some classic. I would say, are these classics? I mean, maybe for our era of family-friendly spooky movies, if you will.
Hey, we are at 545 episodes. Can we consider ourselves some sort of level of tastemaker? You know, if we say it's a classic, Chris,
okay.
It's a classic.
Well, everyone's like, I had this conversation with them. They're like, oh, it was like something like instant classic. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Nothing is an instant classic. Will you talk about it or watch it in several years? Probably not. But like, back to I went and we used to watch. I wouldn't say. My family was never into horror movies. Not that anyone's against it. We just never watched them. It was never in our vibe. So I always remember watching the Addams Family. Do you remember watching that?
You're talking about the kind of more approachable, spooky movies.
Something that would be on TV that my grandma could record on the VHS, and we would just rewatch over and over again, not because we couldn't rent it or find it anywhere else. That kind of movie. So like Addams Family, we watched that this week. I don't think my wife is home. I actually think she was out doing something. So I watched it when I got home, and it's Raul Julia. It's got I guess it was 2 Christina Ricci movies. Is the other one's also starring Christina Ricci, Christopher Lloyd, and I can't think of the wife's name who played Morticia Addams in this movie. I'm gonna have to look it up. But either way, it's just one of those movies where you get like that really old Victorian style house on a hill, and like it feels like it's the same set used in all of these movies. Like it feels like something, not the same one in Beetlejuice, but Beetlejuice has the same vibe. This movie has the vibe where the house is alive, it's spooky, and they're just so lovingly into the dark humor in this movie. Like they're like, like Wednesday's got a big butcher knife, and the mom's like, "Is that for your brother?" She's like, "Yes," and she's like, "Nope," and it takes away from her. Then gives her an even bigger cleaver to go like do whatever it is they're doing. And like obviously the hand, is it called the thing? Is the hand?
Mm-hmm.
Cousin It. Yeah, like I just love this movie because it's so just zany. I guess zany is the word I'm looking for here.
Yeah, the creator of the Addams Family, which I can't think of his first name, but I think his last name was literally Addams.
Yeah, it is.
Like named the family after him. He did this amazing job of like creating like a family that's like really on paper. If you just like read their descriptions and their likes and dislikes, they're like literally psychopathic. There's nothing funny to be made out of it. Mm-hmm. But all of that kind of crazy stuff always happens like off screen. Like these children are always talking about like, oh yeah, I literally tortured somebody last night and we all had a great time. It's like, it's funny because it's what you never see it. You just imagine it.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously I always forget they had a TV show in like the 60s. Right, like the black and white TV show that's like, and the main actor in that is, oh my gosh, I'm gonna space on who played Samwise in the Lord of the Rings movie.
What is it? Yeah, he's actually now the president of the Screen Actors Guild. But I can't remember his name.
People are going to be telling. It's one of those. It's one of those days of fall. I'm trouble. It's his dad actually is the guy who originally played this. John Aston. So Sean Astin, his dad John Astin was literally Gomez Addams in the original show. And then I watched this movie, and it's so fun to watch it. It's not the best movie in the world. It's got some really weird plot points where they're just this family's trying to use the long lost brother Fester to get into a vault where there's gold and in this thing, but it's just the zaniness is out of control in there. And I think it at some point they end up living in a hotel, and like this Girl Scout's like, we'll trade you, Girl Scout cookies for your lemonade, and she's like, is your lemonade made out of real lemons? And they were like, are your Girl Scouts made out of real cookies made out of real Girl Scouts? And I'm like, this is prime dad joke season up in this movie. It also had a sequel, Addams Family Values, I think in like 94, 95. It also came out. I probably might tag into that. But the other movie I watched, the Christina Ricci movie, Casper, starring Bill Pullman, Christina Ricci, and then an animated CGI full character, Casper. And I think they said it's like the first movie to ever have a fully CGI lead character, quote unquote lead character, title character in the movie. And watching this, I expected to be like, oh, all my nostalgia is going to wear off when I see the effects and like how not good it looks after, 30 years. But it actually kind of holds up because they got like a see-through ghost, and they had like a liquid glass effect, if you will, for people who have the new iOS around the character and just interacting with things. Bill Pullman's, he's got the trio of the mean ghosts, and he's like, giving them kisses because, he's drunk, and like, it's like, you guys are great. I'm going to make sure you get to stay in your house. And like, it looks better than some effects today, Mike, if I'm going to be completely honest. I'm really surprised how they did it.
I mean, I think you're missing one of the biggest draws of this film from the other side of the aisle here is the actor that played the living version of Casper was apparently a lot of girls' awakenings. I only know this. I only know this because every like fall it pops up like on TikTok of all these women like swooning over this kid, and then they have to tell their partners, husbands, boyfriends, no, I'm not swooning over him now. But imagine me as a child when I was watching this. To bring up SNL one more time, former cast member. Was it Melissa Villasenor? I never remember how to say her last name. She made a video showing her, showing somebody in her living room about how she was absolutely in love with this child when she was a kid. So I also have heard it. I guess this is just holiday movies in general. of the guy that plays the lead elf in the Santa Claus. He's like having a resurgence in his career right now too. Apparently he was pretty hot back in the day too. But
I mean,
what do you do?
Well, I mean, that's
Kids be horny.
That kid was Devon Sawa, who went on to play like Idle Hands and like other like horror films as well. I think was he in?
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Final Destinations. I think he was in Final Destination. So yeah, he's like got like his like little scene in Casper, and then kind of went on with that. Obviously, like Christina Ricci, she was also going from Addams Family to this. I think she's in the new Wednesday show as well. One of the
that Wednesday show is so insanely popular that I fear that the Wednesday show will by default become what most of the population knows of Addams Family, and the stuff that we grow up on will be like the vintage stuff that kids will be like, oh wait, there's like an old movie based on the Wednesday show. What is this weird stuff, Grandpa?
There's not even that. Like, so the TV show you've already forgotten about. So you've actually fallen victim to this already. But there's there's a 2018 and a 2021 animated movie, I think by Netflix, that a lot of I would say families have probably watched because it falls under, what's that Adam Sandler one, the vampire one?
Hotel Transylvania.
Hotel Transylvania, like those animated ones fall into there. One of the things that kind of like took me out of this movie a little bit is one of the ghosts, Fatso, is he is voiced by Brad Garrett, who also voices he voices Dim in A Bug's Life, and you know him, you see him and hear him, and I'm like that's kind of whiplash. I'm like, I never would have, like 95 me wouldn't have known that, and I was like, that's wild to even think of that. So it's pretty fun. It's got cameos in it. Have you seen the video of all the cameos in this movie?
I haven't seen this movie in so long. Isn't there a Ghostbusters cameo in it?
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd shows up. He ends up running away. He's like, who you gonna call? Someone else, and runs away. There's a scene where Bill Pullman is possessed by the ghost, and he looks in the mirror, and he like transforms into Clint Eastwood, Rodney Dangerfield, and Mel Gibson. And they actually have those actors standing in the mirror, like when it does the morphing into them. So, it's pretty fun. Like, it's just a fun kids movie. It is a little dark because like two of the villain characters, like, oh, it's all about getting gold out of a mansion. They want to get the treasure out of the vault in this mansion, which is very similar to Addams Family. And they try to kill each other by running each other over with like their cars in this. At one point, there's a lot of death in here. You don't show any death, but it's like, it is a darker kind of movie through some of that stuff. But it is fun. Had a good time with it. I think it got a sequel as well. I don't remember if the same people came back for it. I think it was Casper, A Spirited Beginning, direct to video. Yeah, there it is. So not as good, but obviously I had a good time watching. These are things I grew up with, and this is where I was gonna put a call out to the audience, or even you, Mike. What are your favorite like spooky movies, like your go-tos? We already did The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Again, we're not watching Halloween or Friday the 13th or Scream, anything that's like kind of gruesome or gory here. It's not our vibe. But like, what are people's or yours, Mike, favorite spooky season movies? Like that's the question I had. Like, what's your go-to?
I'm in perpetual spooky movie catch up because I didn't grow up watching them. So every time the season comes around, I try to catch up on what I haven't seen. I think last year I burned through like a lot of classics. Like, I know I watched a couple Hellraiser movies last year, which were pretty wild since they're so vintage and retro. Like that original Hellraiser is so
22.
funny.
It was 22 because we watched the original one when the remake came out. If you remember watching the remake in 2022.
Oh yeah, that remake that was crazy too.
Yeah, everyone forgot it existed. It's fine.
Yeah, and then like, do you even consider Alien or Predator movies like scary because they're so sci-fi heavy? I feel like if your movie is too science fiction based, it can't scare you as much.
Yeah.
Because it feels like, oh, this I can't imagine a xenomorph in my house because I've only ever seen a xenomorph in like a science lab or a spaceship in a way.
Yeah.
But I guess you could imagine the Predator in an apartment. He does run through the city of Los Angeles in the second movie.
Yeah. I'm not much on those. You know, a lot of them are like, you know, I always think of It as a more recent one, Terrifier, or like as recent ones. You know, but like you're right. Like, there are some, I guess, creature features, if you will.
I still have to watch Weapons. That is just looming over my brain. I want to watch it. I want to check it out. Mm-hmm. You know, that was early summer, maybe late.
It was summer.
Spring.
It was midsummer. It was midsummer.
Yeah, I gotta
another spooky movie. If you want to.
Yes. It's hard to watch spooky movies when your partner is not into them. So It's like, how do you carve out time where you can just like occupy the best screen in the house for like 2 hours?
Yeah.
But I
any
find a way to rope her in.
Any vampire or zombie movies that you lean towards? I mean, we watched Young Frankenstein, obviously a comedy / Frankenstein movie. We'll watch that here. I really have a itching to watch Interview with the Vampire, you know, with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, any zombie films for you think?
I have the best transitional segue movie to bring up right here. Everyone loves this scary movie that is science fiction based, and it's The Thing.
Oh yeah,
that movie has an iconic movie poster. It has iconic scenes and actors in it. I watched it for the first time a couple years ago, and it didn't live up to the hype, unfortunately. No fault of the movie, but like I had just heard about this film over the years, like my entire life, and the poster is so iconic, and I looked at it just for so many years, and then when you finally get around to watching the movie, you're just kind of like, oh, that's it? Yeah. But it's not the movie's fault. It's totally just my fault and my perspective into it.
Have you watched the more recent The Thing, which is like a prequel to this?
I have not seen it.
Okay. That's it. But that's a good segue because the iconic poster of the man in the snowsuit with the beam coming out of his head was drawn by Drew Struzan, who actually sadly has passed away this week. And you may be asking us, well, probably a lot of our listeners aren't asking us, who is Drew Struzan? Why does this matter? Well, he is literally the artist for most of the iconic movie posters you've seen probably through your life, for a lot of movies, even franchises, Star Wars movie posters, Indiana Jones, Blade Runner, Back to the Future, E.T., Harry Potter. You mentioned The Thing. I can't even. It's hard to think of something he hasn't touched, to be completely honest, because he's done so much.
If John Williams is kind of like synonymous with being like the movie composer, like you know, there's others in his league, but he's kind of like the guy. Like Drew Struzan, he would be the version for movie posters, and also coincidentally, he made the movie posters for a lot of movies that John Williams has scored. There's an amazing documentary called "The Man Behind the Poster." That's all about Drew and his life and his career. You can stream it for free on Canopy, which is the streaming service that you can usually log into with your library account here in the United States. And then it's also streaming one other location. I don't remember where exactly, but it's like with ads. But if you want the one without ads, watch it on Canopy. But it's like just great. He seems just like a totally like nice guy. He goes over all of the stories behind making the posters. He has a great one about when he did the Goonies poster. You know, if you recall the poster, it's like all of the Goonies characters like hanging, grabbing each other's like legs, and they're all like dangling from like a cliff or whatever. He like literally, I think it was either himself or his kids, he had them like hang out like a second story bedroom window so he could like take a picture of it so he could get the perspective. And I love that because those are the things that you had to do before you had things like even just like reference that you could pull from the internet or like a 3D model that you could move around in the window to just try to figure out what would this even look like, how would the vanishing points line up. And I will be happy to be corrected, but I think it's the Thing movie poster where he got that assignment without like any context of like what was going on in the movie, what the monster looked like. He didn't know anything except for it was like happening like outside, like in like, you know, one of the poles. I don't remember if it was South Pole or the North Pole. I don't remember. And they were like going to be in like these like snowsuits, and he just like drew it. Like that poster is like fully like his design, and he had never even seen the movie before. So I just love that.
I'm pretty sure it was like even within 24 hours as well. Like it was like a quick turnaround. I actually was looking through those posters earlier, so I didn't get the wrong movie listed. But I think the quote was, "I couldn't show an actor or a location or anything. I couldn't show a monster, so I had to find a way of making nothing into something." And yeah, so absolutely. And I think in his later years, I think he had like maybe Alzheimer's and couldn't actually do any posters recently. But like, you know, literally there are movies, most of his things he's touched at some point in time. Like even if a movie has multiple posters, he's done variations. You should, if you get a chance, I recommend looking up his Star Wars. Like he did dozens and dozens of Star Wars posters that didn't even make the actual releases that are just out there. So you know, it's sad that he's passed, but you know, it's in a good way to celebrate all the things he's touched and that he's so iconic with the work he's done in that regard. So thank you for that segue, Mike. I do appreciate it. Let's get into the news. VisionQuest, Mike. We've talked about this a lot lately because I think it's like, although what's his name, Wonder Man is January. This is like next year. Big question mark on it. The showrunner Terry Matalas has confirmed that we will see Robot Ultron, but also James Spader, human, in the show. So they are leaning into both, you know, his robot version and maybe a human representation of this character. However they decide to pull that off, whether it's a manifestation in the Vision's head, his memories, maybe that's how he remembers them. I don't know. Sounds cool though. James Spader is one of the best parts of our Age of Ultron, right? Like that voice, his lines, his delivery, just iconic through that movie. You know, everything else may not be firing, but like at least his voice and portrayal of Ultron is really, really solid in that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to the storytelling mechanic that brings all of these digital voices into real bodies. You know, because we got to kind of see things like that happen in Wanda, you know, and Magic. But Vision's such like a tech-based person, you know, is he going to find like a facility that's building robot bodies or something? Or does he have the ability, like, because he doesn't have any sort of Infinity Stone anymore, so he's just kind of like just
a real robot
being.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what they do, but I have the highest of confidence from the pedigree of the people working on this show. So I am excited.
Yeah, and knowing that this is like the third, I guess the trilogy ender for that as well. You know, a lot of weight on that. There was a trailer shown at New York Comic Con. It's not been leaked yet, but that doesn't mean it won't leak. That is something that I keep my eyes out for everybody. So hopefully we can get to see some of that sneak peeks and get that on. Which is weird that this one didn't, because I've like this one's like the most hyped one. I feel like I'm like everyone doesn't know what it looks like. Show us something. So they might be holding on to it, giving it a week or two. On the flip side of that, I don't have it in here because it keeps getting taken down every time I link it. But Daredevil Born Again had a full leaked trailer for season 2, and we saw some of that last week from Kristen Ritter herself, where she shared her scene of her showing up in the trailers, Jessica Jones. And they did nail down the exact release date for this movie, or not movie series, March 4th, 2026 per Marvel. So that's good news. That's a good first quarter to get Daredevil out and about again.
Looks like we'll go from Wonder Man to Daredevil, then probably VisionQuest, and then maybe into Doomsday? Or is Doomsday in the winter? I don't remember.
Doomsday is December. We have Spider-Man in July. Right. The Punisher and VisionQuest are the only 2 live action shows. The Punisher special presentation, one shot, are the only 2 things without dates at this time for next year. And I think our assumption is the Punisher will be before Spider-Man to transition him from the Daredevil series into the movie series. Because otherwise it makes no sense why he's jumping into there from that point of view. But obviously, we haven't seen season 2 yet. And I think John Bernthal is filming some of that as well. So, yeah, Daredevil Born Again. We know they're bringing back again, like I said, Jessica Jones. We'll talk about more about that in a minute. Rumors are Mike Coulter's Luke Cage, which would make sense. Do you think they're going to build and Elektra? We talked about Elektra as well. Do you think they're going to build towards kind of season 3 of Born Again being a full like Defenders reunion kind of season?
Yeah, give me a little bit of a redemption. It's so funny, like all of the Netflix stuff has all kind of compounded and flattened in my head. I can't remember like when certain things happened, what was after Defenders, what was before exactly, like when Iron Fist 2, like I don't remember when a lot of this stuff happened. So I just have like vague memories of what I watched back in the day. And I really only have like positive memories of really seeing like the characters just on screen occasionally doing something cool. Like that's probably not a good sign that I can't really pull a lot of plot points out of anything. I just recall some fun fight scenes and just like being on the edge of my seat when it was like, wow, Marvel can be violent because they weren't allowed to be violent elsewhere. Well, so I'd love to see him get another shot at bringing the gang back together.
Yeah, I think a couple notes of that. It's indicative of 13 episode seasons back then. If you remember, 13 hour long episodes, and then they would release it on a Friday. We'd have to try to cram it in to watch it by Sunday so we could talk about it on the show. And they just did that for like 3 Daredevil, 3 Jessica Jones, 2 Luke Cage, 2 Iron Fist, and 2 Punisher seasons. Like, it's so much content, and a lot of it, there was fluff. Remember, there was so much fluff back then that we just obviously glossed over at this rate. And then one Defenders show, which started to entangle the mystical dragon under the city, and also all like, trying to be real in New York. So yeah, obviously, I think the Defenders had such potential, but kind of just let us down with that short season because it was doing too much. That didn't really make a lot of sense. So I would love to see Daredevil Born Again. I don't think it'll go beyond season 3. Do you think this show will go beyond 3 seasons, or like where's your head at for that?
That's a good question. I feel like everything after Secret Wars is going to have like a damn good reason to stick around, right? You got to have like a compelling road ahead. You have to have like something to say in your story. And Daredevil and Charlie Cox, I love them, right? But they have this universe, which they kept, and they didn't rewrite it. They kept it moving forward, has been around for a long time now. So like, it's kind of like, what else do you have to say about the character that we kind of haven't already dove into? I mean, when we were reviewing the most recent season, we were just like, what does a season without Kingpin look like, right? Yeah. It almost starts to feel like, is this more of a Kingpin show than a Daredevil show? Well, I mean, Vincent D'Onofrio is great, there's no lie, and he was kind of out of the picture for Daredevil season 2, but he's almost always there,
Well, it's like, Daredevil and Kingpin are like a Batman and Joker situation, right? You're always going to have them together at some point, crossing paths and causing issues in each other's lives. So I think you're right, but like nothing against anybody in any of this stuff. I think 3 seasons that where the definitive ending is going to be. It's not a cliffhanger. It's going to end. If they happen to pick it up later, I would like to see a Daredevil in the MCU at large, rather than like kind of how we've talked about how this New York isn't really connected to the New York, even though it is the same New York. Even though they say they're trying, I don't believe them. We'll have to see how that plays out. But I agree with you. If they can get the 3rd season out after Secret Wars, or after Doomsday, before Secret Wars, wrap it up, I think that would be a nice clean break for them to kick off their soft I think it'll be a soft reboot. I don't think it'll be a hard reboot. That soft reboot after Secret Wars, where they merge everything down, because you're right. If they're going to do less is more mentality, we can't be having all this stuff floating around, even if it's mildly connected, right? At the end of the day, they need to hone in. Yeah. It has to have a purpose, and it has to be working towards a bigger story. And if your TV shows aren't working towards that same big story, kind of what's the point of watching them at the same time? So
I think what would be great is create some sort of banner under which you can tell like stories just from ground level New York after Secret Wars.
What's that one called?
I don't know if
Spotlight? Is it the Marvel Spotlight where the Echo
Yeah.
and Wonder Man are on?
Or just make a TV show and call it like Heroes for Hire, and like there's no like one lead character. It's just a bunch of co-leads, and it's just like you get a little bit of Daredevil, you get a little bit of these other characters, and you can kind of bring in some of these B, C list like street level heroes.
Well, Marvel Knights. Marvel Knights was the line for a while that had street level characters.
Because it's like we're in a scenario now with Daredevil, kind of similar to Batman. Of just like, well, we know how he got his powers. You know, we know his backstory. I think people are familiar enough where we don't need to like kind of see that from ground zero again.
Yeah. We don't need to reinvent the character, if you will. But yeah, there's we could be surprised. They could have a reason after season 3 to do more seasons and that tie into post Doomsday. So. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, March 4th for season 2. My guess is March 2027 for season 3. Then we'll kind of see where they're sitting around on that. But in the same vein, Kristen Ritter's out there. They're doing Comic-Con or announcements for Daredevil, and they say her and Brad Winderbaum, the potential season 4 is coming sooner than you think, and that's per Brad Winderbaum, not Kristen Ritter. So it sounds like they might do even another season, maybe a one shot for Jessica Jones, like they're doing for the Punisher, to kind of tell some more stories with these characters without committing to the longer thing. I like Jessica Jones. I think it's fine. The series kind of, I wouldn't say tapered off, but like that first season with a strong, compelling villain in the Purple Man is one of the best seasons, right? Like after that, like everything else is kind of like, well, how do you top, great actors, a great storyline, and this would be fine, I think, for a single story. How does she exist in the MCU with her, detective agency and ability set would be interesting. But like, I can't imagine full seasons of this if I'll be transparent, Mike.
Yeah, I wonder if is the strategy like we're gonna bring every single MCU Marvel character that you've ever witnessed into Secret Wars, so we kind of want to like put them back in people's minds. So do we give Jessica Jones like a one shot, maybe Luke Cage a one shot, just to get people on the screen, so when they show up in like the big like CG battle that they're probably already starting to like do previews for,
they're probably filming them along with the TV show. Like that's probably what they're doing. Like, hey, one of these days is set up for some Doomsday stuff. Like just film it under the cover of the show. I think I would like to see them get some one shots just to wrap up their story. Like I think Punisher, Jessica Jones, even if you get a Heroes for Hire one shot, Mike, of Luke Cage and the original Iron Fist, despite us not loving Finn Jones, I think if you did a wrap up of one of these things before Doomsday, and then like that's it, we're done. We'll start fresh with the new MCU going forward. I think that would be fun. I think that would be a really interesting, unique thing to do that we wouldn't normally get under normal circumstances. And I think they could wrap those up by the time, like you said, Secret Wars is done, and we don't have to deal with them again, I guess. So, not a lot to say about Jessica Jones, but like hopefully, if we get some information, we'll definitely share that along. I think we'll get it way before Comic-Con next year, so we'll keep you guys posted. Moving on to X-Men 97, Brad Winderbaum has confirmed that discussions for seasons 4 and 5 are taking place for X-Men 97, which I think we've always talked about. Most animated shows do 2 seasons of dialogue and animation at a time, right? I think X-Men 97. I think Invincible has done that recently. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man's probably doing that. That's typical structure, right? Because there's not as many episodes, they'll do 2 seasons and then release them spaced out over time. Is that aligned with what you're thinking here?
I mean, it could be possible. You have the opportunity for sure, whether they're doing it or not. You have them in the booth, you might as well get the lines out of them. I mean, when I think of since it's called X-Men 97, that's kind of confirmation in a way of there has been time that has spanned years throughout the show. So if we're looking at up to 5 more seasons, that means the X-Men will eventually make it into the new millennium. They'll make it into the year 2000. I think that's kind of fun. If you're looking for maybe kind of a fun moment in time to wrap up this animated universe, the year 2000 could be kind of fun. I don't know if you have like a villain that leans into the new year, or you end your final episode with like in New York Times, like Times Square or something. That could be kind of like a fun send-off of just like, hey, this iconic 90s show is finally coming to an end. We're wrapping it up, and who knows, maybe they'll reboot what was the X-Men show after it? That was like,
Jesus.
It was like, it wasn't like X-Men, and it wasn't Wolverine and the X-Men.
Is it Pride of the X-Men?
No, it was like X-Men like Evolution, I think is what it was. X-Men Evolution. Maybe they'll reboot that someday.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think about it. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think they'll pick it up. I think I think what is our main goal out of this, Mike? Spider-Man 98. We really want them to pick up with Spider-Man, even though they're doing the comic books. But like, I think if they do 5 seasons, each season is not a year, but they could do some time passage, like you said. It could end before 2000, and then it'd be done. But I think 5 seasons. This show is different because I think, unlike the live action stuff, the animated stuff can keep telling the same story in its universe and not be affected by this. 5 seasons. I did look it up. I have it pulled up here. 5 seasons is exactly how many the original show lasted. It went from 92 to the end of 97, because I was like, X-Men 92, X-Men 97, why is 97? Oh, because it ended in September of 97. So it could easily go 5 years down the road. Do you think they'll get to a point where they release 2 seasons of this a year, like one in the spring, one in the fall? I'm just thinking of release schedules. Like, why would you wait 5 years if you had the show available to do after like 8 months instead?
I think the decision would just ultimately be whatever keeps people from churning on their subscription.
Because I'm gonna put money on this. Star Wars will wind down their TV presence, like if they already have not wound down their TV presence, right? So it's not going to be an alternate Marvel, Star Wars kind of thing going forward. So I'd be interested to see what they're doing with that. But yeah, honestly, 5 seasons, that lines up. I would like for them to have a written ending rather than a cliffhanger. I think the original one might have ended on a cliffhanger, or at least in a weird spot. So if they can write towards an end, I would love to see that happen for them along the way. Moving on, last bit of news, Blade. The movie Blade has been a bit of I wouldn't say, is it contention is the right word, or just mystery, intrigue, conversation even.
From a roller coaster.
Yeah, really. We was announced in 2019 at Comic-Con. We have no updates over 6 years later. But Mia Goth has confirmed that she's still attached to the Marvel movie. Now, she was not able to say anything about when it starts or where the current status is, but that she is still signed on to be in there. Rumors are she's the big bad. She might, this might transition to a Midnight Suns movie, is my thought process, and she could be the villain that was also in the game of the same name. But I still think there's room for a Blade movie, but I don't think it's going to be. I really don't think it'll be Mahershala Ali being Blade whenever this comes out.
We're hearing about this because she must be doing press for Frankenstein.
Yes, she's out doing Frankenstein. Yes. So she's out doing Frankenstein stuff for Guillermo del Toro. Now, do you think Guillermo del Toro could do a Marvel movie? You think they give him one to play in, could he do the Midnight Suns? Could he do something?
Would he want to? I feel like is the question. I feel like he's been on this run where he's kind of got to do whatever he's wanted. He made like the big action movie Pacific Rim, and then he got his Oscar from what was the fish movie?
Shape of Water.
Yeah, The Shape of Water, and then he's just like been on a run recently. But And I think Netflix is also giving him like a ton of money to like open up like a stop motion studio. So he might just be on his like independent movie flex. But, you know, there's all of these rumors going around this town of like, is somebody going to buy Warner Brothers? Are they going to go to a rival studio? And there's a chance that Netflix could own all of these DC characters, and, you know, he's already within the Netflix banner. So I don't know, never say never, but it seems like maybe he likes his spooky stuff right now.
Yeah, well, he's done the last two movies. He did Pinocchio from '02 and Frankenstein. They're both Netflix, straight to Netflix movies. Kind of looking back here, he did on Troll Hunters. I believe that's a Netflix show as well, wasn't it? The Troll Hunters show on Netflix, and some other stuff. So, but he's also not afraid to be. He's an executive producer on Puss in Boots and Kung Fu Panda 3. So, like, you know, he's done other stuff. So I don't know. I would like to see Marvel get some. Again, we've talked about this. People with vision in the movies, like back to the movies, and kind of run the movie that way. I think I'd just like to see that, because everyone's like always like, oh, he's gonna do Hellboy 3. He's gonna do Hellboy. He's not doing Hellboy 3. 20 years later, he's not doing Hellboy 3. So we gotta get over that. But anyway, Blade still threatening us with that movie eventually. So get ready for that. We're going to talk a little bit about lanterns. Mike, the Green Lantern show coming up from the DC Universe is filming. New merch leak has showed up online. I've had to get this link 5 different times this weekend because it keeps getting pulled from the internet. And you're going to look at this and be like, oh, it's a Green Lantern ring embroidered on a hat. It looks nice, other than the fact that the greens are kind of samey. But the real thing is coming out of this for this Lantern Season 1 wrap gift is the spiral, or not the spiral, I guess it's the concentric rings in the middle of the Green Lantern symbol. And this has led to people theorizing that the villain of Lanterns, or the big problem, will be a character called the Center. And the Center is an eldritch being that essentially looks like a spaceship coming out of the water when you look him up. But he's also nicknamed Dinosaur Island, which is even goofier for some reason. But this character appeared as a villain in Justice League: The New Frontier. And the theory is that James Gunn several years ago shared an image of the New Frontier comic when he was announcing, working on all his DC stuff. And a lot of things coming out of this comic, The New Frontier, has been what he's based his universe on. So by leading into the Center, this eldritch being discovered in Lanterns, not necessarily the main villain, but being discovered in Lanterns and becoming a Justice League villain that everyone has to team up with to fight because he's just so big and is so powerful and all being, is the theory. All stemming from this hat. This rumor has gone back 2 years on Reddit. If you look up the Center, or Dinosaur Island being the villain for this, it goes back 2 years to when James Gunn showed off the New Frontier comic book. For Peacemaker, you're familiar with Salvation, right there at the end. Mm-hmm. Salvation could be part of that. Like maybe like this being comes from one of these alternate universes to Earth, and one of the comic chapters in the New Frontier comic book is literally called Gods and Monsters, Mike. So I'm not saying this is true, but if all the things have been adding up over the years that James Gunn is basing his DCU on the New Frontier comic series, this could be something that comes to fruition in the next few years as they move towards Justice League.
Sounds like people have found Gunn's sacred texts
Yeah.
Through the embroidery of a hat. I'm kind of curious because I was looking a little bit into Salvation after the ending of Peacemaker because I didn't know anything about it. And from what I was reading, it was a different planet, mm-hmm. whereas in the Peacemaker show, it kind of seems to be pivoted as a different dimension.
Yeah.
So which makes me think it's not accessible by like spacecraft, or like if Supergirl's flying around in her movie, she's not just gonna like fly past the Salvation Planet. It seems like you need some sort of dimensional travel capabilities. So curious how that's all gonna.
It could be, or
tie up.
Also we saw in Superman, Lex Luthor has been known to toy with dimensional rifts, right, to build his pocket dimension. So it could be a couple other ways with that. Or it has to, maybe we've talked about Brainiac likes to scoop up cities and put them in bottles, quote unquote bottles, to keep them for his collection. Could be something like that. Lots of opportunities here, but I think with James Gunn loving his kaiju style creatures, and if you Google search the center, you're gonna see it looks like literally like a big kaiju spaceship coming out of the ocean. I think this kind of leans into that just a little. I mean, not too much, but a little more than it should, which is fun. This is great. I nothing against this. Justice League: The New Frontier. It was also turned into an animated movie, one of the animated adaptations they've done recently, and it is actually showing tonight on Cartoon Network, for the first time on Toonami. So I thought that was very interesting as well. But I might go watch this animated adaptation just to kind of see what it's like, because this feels James Gunny, if I'm going to be completely, like, this feels exactly like something he'd do for this. So I'm going to take a look at that. Now, I don't think maybe the next movie of Superman is Man of Tomorrow deals with this, but they will have to eventually build to a team up, right? And this might be the start of that, all because someone shared their season wrap gift of a Green Lantern hat with rings. So check that out. Also with this, there was a rumor, in that same rumor, that Andy Muschietti, who was the director of The Flash, that nobody remembers happening, who's also supposedly lined up for Batman Brave and the Bold, was also rumored to direct a Justice League: The New Frontier movie years ago as well. So this just keeps adding, like, these rumors just kept, like, these theories from like 2 years ago keep adding up, and I'm like, this is wild to me that someone would have discovered this on Reddit years ago, said it, no one bought into it until this new merch leak. So I think we'll find out next year as we watch Lantern. So we'll put a pin in this and come back to it for both of these ideas. Lastly, James Gunn has said, and I quote, "We'll see what happens when it comes to James Mangold's new partnership with Paramount and his being part of the Swamp Thing movie for the Gods and Monsters portion of the DCU."
So it's like, does James Mangold have like 3 active projects, or are rumored to be working at like every studio?
He's not
Hollywood
rumored.
right
He's got 3 that we know of. At least I know 2. What 2 are you? What are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of the Star Wars movie, right?
Yep, the very first History of the Jedi one or whatever.
And then if he's floating around over at DC, and then also has this like Paramount deal, also that's like 3 different studios. That's crazy. Yeah. I feel like, is this all off of the back of Logan? Did like Logan just like give him so much juice?
No,
that he just made like all of the deals.
No, I don't think so. I think Ford versus Ferrari and Logan together.
Yeah. That made Ford versus Ferrari made a lot of money. If I recall. I
think it won some awards as well. If I mean, he's also, I mean, not to sell him short, he has done Girl Interrupted, Walk the Line, 3:10 to Yuma, and then people may forget he did Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, but he's also written, directed, and produced all 3 for A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan movie or biopic, I guess, with a Timothy Chalamet as the lead that just came out this year. I'm trying to see what he's got kind of coming up here. He's tied.
I feel like he's the type of person that you look up on IMDb and he's got like 12 things in development.
Yeah, he started in Disney territory. He was a co-writer for Oliver and Company, and worked.
Oh wow.
Yep, and then he was a creative consultant for John Wick, He was an EP for The Greatest Showman and a story consultant for Deadpool and Wolverine. So he's got connections. He's got connections, if you will, kind of across the board here. I'm trying to see it is unrealized. He's got his own Wikipedia page called James Mangold's Unrealized Projects, which is funnier.
I'm just looking forward to anything out of this new DC universe that wasn't Gunn's doing, right? I saw a lot of people on the internet really love season 2 of Peacemaker, and I'm happy for them. I was just kind of slightly whelmed by it, but it's time for him to let somebody else create in the house, and we're getting that with Supergirl. So
Supergirl,
I'm totally done.
I say and Clayface and Lanterns. I say those three next. The next 3 projects are not his projects, so I think that is maybe where we'll get to see if it can flourish.
Yeah, and when we were talking about Annie Machete possibly doing this Justice League movie, or at least the rumor of it, it just made me think back to Snyder's DCU, and I was just like, that really was just a bomb waiting to happen, just because it was one creative doing everything. I know we brought in somebody else to do Aquaman, and then
Wonder Woman.
And then Shazam never really lined up, and even though these other directors came in, everything still felt like a Snyder movie. Like his visual style, and then the universe that he created was just so saturated with like Snyder all over it. I felt like we couldn't get out and under and away from it, even when it was another creator. So moving like Supergirl just really comes in and just feels fresh and like different. Just all of these other creators, because wouldn't it be just so weird if we were just like, oh yeah, Kevin Feige, the writer and director of all of the Avengers movies, and be like, wait, what? No,
well, actually, it even go farther up the chain. It'd be Bob Iger, the president of the studio, right? Writing and directing all those projects along the way, because DC Studios is essentially. Maybe not Disney. I guess, is there a president of Marvel? Is Feige the president of Marvel Studios? Am I?
I mean, I think so. If you had to kind of put a fine point on it, I think he is the lead of Marvel.
Let me double check here, because obviously there are different roles within something. Like one person doesn't do it, but I don't know where the chair people would be.
I would imagine there's one person in between Feige,
president and producer Kevin Feige. He co-president Louis Despacito is the other person we see a lot of. So it is the two. I wish they just had we need what's it called, an org chart for Marvel that we could just pull up. So yeah, I guess that would be you'd be the same as that. But I did see it was 2 things. Number one, to your point of Zack Snyder, I saw Zack Snyder post a picture of Henry Cavill and said it's like the one and only Superman this week or something. It was really stir the pot on Snyderverse fans for some reason. Despite him being with James Gunn, what TV show was that? It wasn't Creature Commandos.
Was it Rick and Morty?
Rick and Morty, yeah, Rick and Morty. Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't South Park, but it was similar to South Park, where it was parody. So it was Rick and Morty. So I think there's that, but at the same time, someone wrote, it's James Gunn has possibly painted himself into a corner where if the next 3 projects that he didn't work on are successful, they're like, well, James Gunn didn't really do anything for the DCU, and if they fail, it's James Gunn's fault, kind of thing. How it's damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. And I don't know if it's that bad, but it is interesting that all the stuff so far, the first 3 projects were his. The next 3 are not his, so that'll kind of give us a barometer, a reading on where everything is for the DCU going forward. I would love to see him go to producer role and build I know he has a creative team, but I would love to see more people, like you said, in between him and the movies and TV shows, so he can start working on finessing things and getting that story. But at the same time, I almost would like to see someone above him finessing that a little even further for the stuff he does. So we're, damned if you do, damned if you don't for us as well at the end of the day. Excuse me, got that fall weather allergies, or I guess congestion coming on. So Mike, anything else you want to add to today's show before we wrap it up a little early here?
No, I think I am looking forward to the future, Chris.
No.
More episodes of the podcast. Let's do this until we hit 999.
Good Lord, yeah. If we hit 4 digits, it'll be impressive, to be completely honest. But I was looking, we are going to hit 550 by the, within 5 weeks. So by the end of the year, we'll have at least 550 under our belt. So that's a plus. But Mike, if people want to know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you, buddy?
Yeah, you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com and liferewardsrisk.com. Chris, people want to catch up with you. Where can they find you?
Find me on Instagram, Valdan87, VALDAN, or Video Game Systems with the same name, where I'm playing Battlefield 6 this weekend because I got it because my brother-in-law had it and I want to play games with him. So we're going to go do some of that. If people know more about the show, where they can see the show links, our release page. They still need to update. I'm 1 week behind, folks. Give me a break. We'll get that update. Where can I get all them goodies at?
Oh, so easy to do. Just visit superheroslate.com. That is the headquarters. That is our Dinosaur Island. That is our salvation. That is where we're perpetually locked down at superheroslate.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love listening to podcasts. We got merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Like Chris said at the top of the show, what are your spooky movies of the season? Let us know. We love hearing from you. We love our super fans. So if you want to be a super fan of this show, all you have to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week, folks.
That's right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.